Hello friends, welcome back to my channel MU Exams. This is my second video on the sewage treatment plant. So friends, before I begin with this video, do subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. So my this video will be on sewage effluent test, that is the sewage tests which are carried on the onboard ship. So now let's begin with this video. So on board basically we just carry out this one test, but the tests which are required by the IMO are these tests, that is the thermotolerant fecal coliform test, then the total suspended solid, then the biological oxygen demand, then chemical oxygen demand, and pH. So we'll see these tests in detail, and I have provided this table. So this table basically provides the limit for this test. So now let's begin with the test one by one. So the first test, that is the thermotolerant fecal coliform test, is basically carried out in the lab by the multi-tube fermentation technique. So this method is used to determine the presence of a member of coliform group. Basically this test is carried out to find the presence of coliform groups, and the results are expressed in terms of most probable number. So this is the unit in which the result of this test is done. So what basically is done in this test is mostly 15 tubes are taken, as we can see in this diagram. This is the first row, in which 5 test tubes are taken, second row 5 test tubes are taken, and third row 5 test tubes are taken. So uh, the f- the first test contains the first row, that is the F1, contains 10 ml of double strength presumptive medium. So this is the medium which is required in this stage. The first stage is stage. So in this, the uh, first row of tubes contains the double strength presumptive medium, while the second and the third, that is the F2 and F3, contains 10 ml of single strength presumptive medium. Now after this we have to add 10 ml of sample to each of the tube in the F1 row, and 1 ml of sample in the F2 row. Okay, and after that we have to prepare a solution uh, of 1 is to 10 dilution. That is, we have to take 1 ml of sample and we have to put it in 9 ml of water, distilled water, and from this tank we have to add 1 ml to F3 row. Okay, so let me repeat this process. So for the third stage, that is the F3 row, first we prepared a sample of the ratio in the ratio 1 to 10 dilution, and for that we take sample of 1 ml and we dilute it with 9 ml of distilled water, and then from this this bottle having a ratio of 1 to 10, from there we take 1 ml sample and we add it on all the 5 tubes which are provided, test tubes of the F3 row. So after gently shaking the tubes to mix the content, this test tubes are incubated at 35 to 37 degrees for 24 hours. Then at the end of 24-hour incubation period, these test tubes are examined for the presence of gases, and if any stream of tiny bubbles is observed, the tube should be considered positive. So that tube is marked and it's considered to be positive, and we have to record the readings. So after 24 hours, all the tubes which show the presence of gas, those tubes are marked positive. Then this then the tubes which are not showing the presence of gases, then they are re-incubated for next 24 hours period, and at the end of this period the tubes are again checked for gas production, and gas production at the end of 24 to 40 hour incubation period is presumed to be due to presence of coliform in the sample. So this basically gives presumption that there is a chance of presence of coliform in the test tubes. So basically, first 24-hour incubation period, the positive test tubes are marked. Then again the negative test tubes are again incubated for next 24-hour period, and again the positive test tubes are marked, and all the test tubes in this stage are marked, showing the presence of gases as positive. So the next stage to this test is the confirm test. So we have till now we have only presumed that the test tubes with the presence of gases are having coliform, but in this test we will confirm that there is a coliform in the test tube. So for that, all the primary fermented tubes showing gas formation, this 24-hour gas formation during 24 or 40-hour period are taken into consideration. So the fermentation tube containing brilliant green lactose bile broth are incubated with the medium from the tube, showing a positive result in the presumptive test. So basically this brilliant green lactose bile broth, in this the medium is mixed from the test tubes which were showing the positive results, and then they are incubated for 48 hours for at 35 degrees Celsius, and formation of gas at any time in the tube indicates positive conformation. So after this medium from the positive test tubes is mixed with brilliant green lactose bile broth and incubated for 48 hours period at 35 degrees Celsius, and the formation of gas in the test tubes will confirm that there is presence of coliform. So this is the confirmation stage. Then the third stage is called the completed test. So the completed test is performed on all the samples showing positive result in the confirmed test. So in the last test, that is the confirmed test, all the test tubes showing positive results are again marked, and the third test is performed on those samples. So one or more of the plate of eosin methylene blue are streaked with the sample to be analyzed. So from the samples, the plates of eosin methylene blue are streaked. So these streaked plates are then incubated for 24 hours at 35 degrees Celsius. After incubation, transfer one or more typical colonies of this traptose broth fermentation tubes. So after incubation period, one or more of the typical colonies are transferred to this broth, that is this traptose broth fermentation tube. Then fermentation tube is incubated for again 35 degrees Celsius for 24 hours or for 48 hours if gas is not produced in 24 hours. The formation of gas in the fermentation tube may be considered a satisfactorily completed test, demonstrating positive presence of coliform bacteria in the analyzed sample. So how we get this value? So basically suppose we have there were three rows now, one was with the 10 ml, other was 1 ml, and other was 0.01 ml. So if suppose the first row all the 5 tubes were showing positive, the second row 4 tubes were showing positive, and the third row 2 tubes were showing positive, then with this line if we draw, so this reading, so for this sample 222 will be the reading. Basically this is the limit which is required by the Marpol, but I'm just showing you how this value is calculated. Actually this table is very long. I have just taken a short form of this table just to tell you how this value is calculated. Now the second test which is carried out on the sewage is the total suspended solid, and the limit for this is 35 mg per liter. So total suspended solid of the wastewater sample is determined by pouring a carefully measured volume of water, typically 1 liter. That is, we have measured the volume of the water to be 1 liter, and it is passed through a pre-weighted filter of a specific pore size, then weighing the filter again after drying process that removes all the water on the filter. Filters for this total suspended solid measures are typically composed of glass fibers. The gain in the weight in the dry weight measure of a particulate present in the water sample expressed in mg per liter. So this is the unit. So basically what they are saying is a volume of water is taken, that is suppose 1 liter is taken, and this volume this water is poured onto the filter. So this filter is weight of this filter is measured before pouring, and then after the water is poured and the filter is dried, then again the filter is weight filter weight is checked, and the difference in the weight will give us the total suspended solid in the water. Now third is the biochemical oxygen demand. So its value is to be less than 25 mg per liter. So the biochemical oxygen demand is the amount of dissolved oxygen required by the organisms, mainly the bacteria, for the oxidation of organic matter in a waste under aerobic conditions. The biological oxygen demand test involves the measurement of oxygen consumed by the bacteria while stabilizing the organic matter in the waste, as they would normally do in nature but under normal lab conditions. By convention, the test is to be conducted for a period of 5 days at 20 degrees Celsius. So basically this process, this biochemical oxygen demand tell us about the uh, oxygen consumed by the organic material, the dissolved oxygen consumed by the organic material. So this basically is done in the lab condition for 5 days at 20 degrees Celsius. This 5 days basically is taken before at the time when this test was first carried out. Basically this 5 day this test was basically invented in England. So the sewage produced in the city takes around 5 days to reach the sea. So that's why they have designed this test for 5 days, 5 day period. So some labs they carry out this test for 20 days or 30 days also. BOD test is so that's why they are writing it BOD 5. If it is BOD 20, then it will be done for 20 days. So this basically is based on accurate measure of dissolved oxygen at the beginning and end of 5 day period in which the sample is held in dark dark incubated condition at 20 degrees Celsius. It is held in dark so that the process of photosynthesis does not takes place. So basically it measures the oxygen consumed by the organic matter in the waste in under the aerobic conditions. The change in dissolved oxygen concentration over 5 days represents the oxygen demand, as I have already told you, for respiration and by the aerobic biological microorganisms in the sample. Second is the chemical oxygen test or the demand, and its value should be less than 125 mg. So this is basically an alternative to the biochemical oxygen demand. Now the if it is almost equal to the bio oxygen demand, then why its value is 125, and value is considered to be less than 125, and for the BOD value is less than 25 mg, and for the reason is that it also takes into consideration because of oxidation due to inorganic matter. So that's why its uh, value is 125 or that greater than BOD. So this is one of the important point. So the COD test uses a chemical potassium dichromate in 50% sulfuric acid solution that oxidizes the both organic and inorganic substances. As I already told you, BOD is only for organic, whereas COD is for organic and inorganic substances in the wastewater sample, which results in COD higher concentration than BOD concentration for the same wastewater sample. The reaction is conducted by refluxing at boiling temperature for a minimum of 2 hours. During refluxing, the solution changes the color from the orange to green based on the amount of oxidation. So basically change in color shows the presence of amount of oxidation. COD is the most popular alternative test for BOD, as I already told you. One advantage of this test is, as this BOD test is carried out in 5 to 20 days, this test takes few hours to complete, so gives major advantage over BOD. Fifth is the pH. So pH has to be in between 6 to 5.8. And the last test which we carried out on board ship is the residual chlorine. That is, we add the sodium hypochlorite in the sterilization tank, and residual chlorine we measure with the test. So test kit is provided on board ship. Basically it contains tablet. We take the sample, mix the tablet with it, and we check the color of the test sample with the disc provided and get the reading. So its value has to be less than 0.5 mg per liter. Now let's see what we have to tell in front of surveyor. Disinfection is a process designed to kill or inactivate microorganisms. So basically this is a disinfected basically this hypochlorite, sodium hypochlorite is the disinfectant which is added onto the sterilization tank to kill or inactivate the microorganisms in the wastewater before it is discharged to the sea. Chlorination is the most effective method. Basically it removes 90 to 98 to 99% of microorganisms. Hypochlorites are a powerful oxidizing agent that reacts with water and its organic constituents. Once the chlorine is added to the water, it rapidly reacts with the organic matter and the other impurities. These reaction consumes free chlorine, which is considered the chlorine demand. So basically the chlorine which is used for this killing and inactivation is actually called the chlorine demand. The chlorine demand is determined by taking the difference between the amount of chlorine added to the wastewater and the amount of residual chlorine remain after the contact period of time. So residual chlorine is the amount of chlorine remain after the contact time. So this is the equation which is represented. So this is the dosing amount. So this is the amount required for killing the this microorganisms and this is the residual cooling, so this value has to be less than 0.5 mg per liter. So thank you friends, hope you have learned something different. Till then, take care, have fun.